Hey folks, this is Ray at DCRainmaker.com, and today we have a complete deep dive into this little battery, the new GoPro Enduro battery. Now this battery is designed and marketed for cold temperatures. However, as you'll find out, and as they also marketed, it actually extends the battery life quite significantly in normal temperatures, so like room temperature and above kind of temperatures. And so I put that to the test. I've done well over a dozen different tests side by side with the old battery and two brand new Hero 10s, though these batteries also work on the Hero 9 as well. It's the exact same battery across both of them, so you can use them on both cameras with pretty similar results in both cameras. Now, if you've been around the block a while here, you know that I did a giant video into GoPro's overheating situation back at launch with the Hero 10. And I did like 40 plus tests in every single way to see when it did overheat and when it didn't overheat. And from that, GoPro has since released a new firmware update that adds some new features and resolves a bunch of things. But this video isn't about overheating. I'll eventually get back to the overheating thing because there's a whole bunch of interesting stuff to go into there, but I want to talk about cold weather performance and like normal weather performance on these two batteries. Now, this battery, the Enduro battery, costs $25 at retail price, and the regular battery costs $20 at retail price. But as usual with the GoPro subscription thingamajig, if you have that, then you get 20% off. So this battery is down to $20 and this battery is $16. So you're basically talking like a $4 to $5 battery difference. Okay, so let's dive into the freezer, the testing, all the kind of stuff. A quick caveat one is all of these batteries are basically brand new with postmark, with manufacturing mark dates on the back from this fall, so that way they're all effectively the same. Two, I left all the things on, so no like cheapskating here, no turning off GPS and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and boost. All that stuff is on. Full boost. Wi-Fi is enabled when prompted via Bluetooth, which is enabled, and GPS is enabled. So again, all the things are on. And three, I configure them exactly the same from a setting standpoint. So I basically reset the settings of both of them. They're identical. So in the freezer I went. I've got a couple different tests at different frame rates here. Starting on the freezer side, we have 5K 60 at 16:9. The Enduro battery lasted 69 minutes versus the regular battery lasted both 49 minutes and 53 minutes. I did a couple different tests there on the regular one accidentally. We're talking like 20 minutes longer here for the Enduro battery in a cold scenario. And then if you were to bump the frame rates down from 60 frames per second to 30 frames per second, it goes even better. So in that case, the Enduro battery did 82 minutes and 89 minutes on two different tests that I did, again, in the freezer. But then I thought to myself, what happens if I put it in the freezer and then leave it there? So like if you were skiing or something, you had it in your helmet all day long, and you try to start from cold. So I put these cameras in the freezer overnight for 7 hours in the deep freeze to let them sit and chill out with full batteries on them, but otherwise powered off. And I then went in the next morning to turn them on. And in the case of the Hero 10 with the Enduro battery, it turned on no problem and started recording. We'll get to the time in just a second. In the case of the Hero 10 with the regular battery, as well as the second Hero 10 with the GoPro Max lens mod, both of those cameras turned on for 5 seconds and powered off. They were like, no, we're not ready for this. We need our coffee first. But the Enduro battery camera turned on and stayed on for an astounding 87 minutes. Oh, hey, and actually a quick note, before we get to the next set of tests, if you find this video interesting, go ahead and whack that like button at the bottom there. It really does help out this video and the channel quite a bit. So clearly this battery makes a difference when starting from cold, and that's something definitely to consider. My general advice, by the way, on batteries, like for skiing and cold weather performance, is just keep them in your jacket somewhere. That's usually enough body warmth just to kind of help them a little bit, or you could just pay a couple extra bucks and buy this instead, I guess. Now, if I were to drop things down to 4K 60 in the freezer, but from room temperature, so just putting it straight in the freezer and starting, in that case, Enduro went 76 minutes versus the standard battery went 62 minutes. The 76 minutes, by the way, is exactly on spec with what GoPro says, which is kind of cool to see that. So then I did a test in the fridge at 5K 30. In that case, the battery did 82 minutes. I had a concurrent Hero 10 on that, but I didn't realize till later on that one was set for 5K 60, so it didn't really compare. Not quite the test I was hoping for, but still you got the data you wanted on this one, which is pretty darn impressive, because that's even more than the 74 minutes that GoPro says the standard battery would last in normal conditions. So kind of cool to see. Then hitting outside, I went for a 4K 120. Now keep in mind, 120 frames per second is almost always action, fast moving action. So in that case, I did outside initially while I got the kids ready for school. And then from there, I put them on the bike and headed in for our commute. And it did 49 minutes and 24 seconds on that before it went to zero battery percentage versus the regular battery only lasted 31 minutes. And now one thing that's interesting, in the latest GoPro beta camera firmware version, the one that came out publicly about a a week ago that you can download yourself, adds GoPro Max lens mod support and some new modes and stuff, is that in there, they will tell you why the camera shut off if it shut off unexpectedly. So every single time I let these drain down, it would tell me afterwards the camera shut off because the battery was low battery and basically died. And I confirmed that when I powered it back on again and showed 1% each time. But it'll also say if the camera overheated. In the past, you wouldn't really know why your camera shut off. You might blame overheating, you might blame something else. Now you kind of know, which is a neat little thing. So finally, what about normal temperatures? Now in this case, I wanted to test what GoPro had advertised, which is normal temperatures of roughly 78 degrees. And they consider that like a normal like spring day, I guess, or something outside in an action scenario. That's their exact kind of wording. But it's cold and miserable. It's like 50-kilometer-hour winds right now and sideways raining and just almost like sleeting. Not really what I wanted to do and not the right temperatures. So I brought the test indoors and I added a very light fan. Not a strong fan. You can see from this footage here, it is barely moving the like plastic plants in the background. It's basically nothing at all. It's just a breeze because I didn't want to really test overheating. That's a separate category for a separate video. I just want to simulate action scenarios. So movement of the camera through the air. In that case, at 5K 60, I got 61 minutes on the Enduro battery versus only 42 minutes on the regular battery. And then if I brought it down to 4K 60, I got 69 minutes on the Enduro battery and 55 minutes on the regular battery. And those were pretty close to within specs, within about 1 or 2 minutes of the claimed battery life. Sometimes better than claimed battery life, sometimes worse, but always like almost pretty much spot on, which is cool to see. So the final thing I was interested in testing was a claim that GoPro said they charged the Enduro battery about 13% faster than the regular battery. And I thought that was interesting because in my testing of doing all these silly tests over and over again, I was using the GoPro dual battery fast charger and it was getting pretty mixed results. Like sometimes it would be faster, but a lot of times it wouldn't be, and I couldn't really figure out why one battery charged way faster than the other. And the way it works, as GoPro explained after I emailed them my confusion, is that the dual battery charger will charge the highest percentage battery with priority and the other battery with lower priority. And so sometimes it would be that they would both theoretically go in with 1% of battery left, but in reality, this could be like 1.2 and this is 1.0, and thus it gives priority to the 1.2 of the regular one. So my tests were all kind of weird there. But to define that 13% is another asterisk. The 13% faster charging is actually in the Hero 10 and not in the dual battery charger. In that case, it's only 9% faster, though this is the faster way to charge the batteries. So let me explain this here. So if you've got the GoPro Hero 10, you will charge the regular battery, according to them, in 126 minutes, and the Enduro battery in 110 minutes. If you have the GoPro Hero 9, it'll charge the regular battery. Hi. What's up? Oh. Yeah. How you doing? Okay. Can I finish up? Okay. I'll see you in a few minutes? Okay. Bye. Okay. So if you've got the GoPro Hero 9 and charging the battery that way, the standard is 122 minutes and the Enduro is 109 minutes, an 11% increase. If you have the dual battery charger, then the standard is 117 minutes and the regular is 107 minutes, a 10-minute increase or 9%. So yes, this is the fastest, but the percentage gain is actually from charging it within the Hero 10 itself. Okay, so with all that data, what's the simple version? Well, simply put, spend like $4 to $5 extra and get the Enduro. It makes sense. Like, why wouldn't I get, like whatever it is, 40% extra battery life in some cases of the Enduro? And more notably, going into the winter, it makes sense to have just for like the cold weather performance and not really having to ever worry about it. Like this turned on every single time and lasts way longer than the other battery. It's kind of like I said, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Now, I'd like to see that going into 2022, like next year when GoPro announces what will presumably be the Hero 11 in September, like they always do, I would assume and slash hope the Enduro battery becomes the standard battery for a GoPro. But until then, I think it's fair to charge a whopping $4 for an upsell for this to get substantially better battery life. As I've said in the past many times, I'm not normally a fan of like GoPro's accessory surcharge pricing, but I think in this particular case, this makes sense, and I'm happy to go and buy a bunch of these batteries to have as my primary batteries and then use these ones when I know I don't really need the battery life. So with that, if you found this video interesting or useful, go ahead and whack that like button at the bottom there or hit subscribe for plenty more sports technology goodness. Have a good one.